everyone. So should I start by asking?
Yes, so we do have one commissioner, Commissioner Nagao, who is participating via the traditional Brown Act teleconferencing. So Shabri will ask Chris a few questions.
Hello, Commissioner Nagao. I need to ask you these questions. Was the location properly noticed according to the state law?
Yes,
Is the teleconference location accessible to members of the public?
yes,
And is there anyone besides you present in the teleconference location?
not in this room.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay, and before we move in a little bit more, I would like to introduce and welcome our newest senior commissioner, Chris Olson.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So Chris is joining us as our new City of Los Altos Commissioner. So with that, I turn it back over to you, Shabri.
Thank you. Let's move on to the first agenda in today's meeting. Please establish quorum.
Okay, Commissioner Nagao,
Here,
Commissioner Basiji,
Here.
Commissioner O'Reilly,
Here.
Vice Chair Cohen,
Here.
Chair Dixon, Commissioner Olson,
Here.
and Commissioner Buckles.
Here.
So we have a full quorum of commissioners with all 7 present.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Can we have the Pledge of Allegiance?
All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are we going to ask for participants?
So at this moment, we have no public in attendance online, and we do not currently have any in attendance in the room. If that changes, I will let you know, but we've received no notice ahead of time that there would be anything. Yeah.
So we would move on to the next item for consideration, which is to approve the minutes of last month's meeting. And has everyone had a chance to read, or if not, if you were not present, and would you approve of the minutes, please? Is everyone in favor of approving?
So we need a motion first.
I'll vote to approve the minutes. I second.
We'll take a vote. Thank you. Can we, do we name all in favor? All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Anyone opposed? No.
And Commissioner Nagao, that was an aye, correct?
it's an aye.
Perfect.
All right, then we move on to the next one, which is the 2024 Senior Commission meeting schedule.
Yeah. So listed before you is the all of the meetings scheduled for 2024. The few things that I want to highlight is January and September are special meetings due to the holidays in those months. January for New Year's Day, and then September for Labor Day, which always falls on the first Monday. So our meeting will fall to the second Monday for those 2 months. And I also highlighting per our new guidelines for the commissions, we do not have meetings in July and December. So listed before you are all of the anticipated regularly scheduled meetings for the Senior Commission for 2024.
Is everyone in approval of the minutes of the meeting time and meeting date? Do we need a motion? Do we, yes. Can I make?
Other than make one.
I move that the schedule as described be adopted.
I
second
that. Seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Perfect.
All right. We move on to the next part, which is the AARP survey marketing plan. And we received staff reports and updates from the ad hoc committee members.
Yeah, so we have, what I wanted to give a little bit of background is there are two attachments in this section. Because we do, and I finally have the QR code and the link. So, I can actually provide either the, PowerPoint presentation or the brief, handout that was created, which highlights the bullet points that, Commissioner Buckholz and the recertification subcommittee worked so hard to put those bullet points together. So we do have a presentation and or a handout that the ad hoc subcommittees can now use since the survey link is now live. So I just wanted to highlight those things, that those are included in the packet, and I'll be able to get those documents to those ad hoc subcommittees to utilize. With that, I know we didn't get the survey link as early as we wanted to, but wanted to open it up to the ad hoc subcommittees if there was anything else to share.
Is that link available now?
Yes, it is.
Am I gonna get it?
Yes. Yes, it is now live as of today. So that will be shared with the commission along with.
You know this one?
So those, no, that is what's included is, and you're referencing the PowerPoint. The finalized one with the QR code and the link. I will get that out to all of the commissioners, including the link so that you can share it as well.
Thank you. Sorry for disruption.
I have just one question. For the handout and the short presentation, are these shareable with the members of the public whom we, okay.
Absolutely.
All right, and will we have them in the printed version as well?
Yes, and that was something that I know Commissioner Nagawa and Commissioner O'Reilly had reached out. If you need printed copies for any of the presentations or groups that you're going to be presenting to, reach out to myself and Candace and we'll coordinate directly.
And the last question I have is, will we have computers available for people to take them at the community center?
So we will have staff assistance so that if there is the need for access, that will be available here at the center.
So great.
That's something that is will be available in the adult 50+ room as well.
Perfect.
Yes.
Just curious with the library, I know you can check out computers there. I'm assuming you work with the library and they will help also with people that walk up.
No, absolutely. So that is something, and I do actually have an upcoming meeting with on a separate topic with library staff. So that's something that I could explore and report back to the commission.
So everyone approve of the discussion on this topic? The marketing plan? Is there no other update on the marketing plan?
No, that is it.
Do we all approve?
I have taken upon myself to get in touch with the various houses of worship, and all of them have a large number of seniors. And so I'm going to get in touch with as many as I can and present this. I would appreciate, I kind of shorthanded the slide deck that you had as to the process, but I would like to present at least my first draft of something that I could first call the clergy and establish there's a a letter, an email coming, to encourage them to invite seniors in their congregations, to fill out the questionnaire. But I need to pass that through commission, and I will get it to you later today.
So do we have to take a vote before we can move on from this? Okay, let's move to the next plan, which is a big one. We talk about our 2024 work plan. Shall we open it up for discussion?
The one thing I will share is that in your packet for today was the previous work plan that the commission had. The one, if you recall from the last commission meeting, specifically the work plan should, they're no longer standing subcommittees. So instead it is ad hoc subcommittees, which means that there's a specific task and then a start and finish. And the subcommittee, ad hoc subcommittee completes once they've reported out and done their final report to the commission. So with that in mind, we would need to create a new work plan to reflect not only that change, but what the commission would like to work on for the upcoming term year, which would be roughly the October to September timeframe.
October to where?
October to September, so roughly the full year, because it is in line with when City Council actually appoints new commissioners, which is they usually do the outreach in August with the appointments around September, so that October could be the start of the new term.
So I have a question for you. Since we are allowed to have only 3 ad hoc committees at a time, isn't that what was told us to us last time? So is it possible to have the action plan not be called an ad hoc committee, but to stay on throughout the year? Because that kind of is like an umbrella overview of what's happening and helps us to build the work plan to go forward. So is that something that can be, because the others, we might be able to group together and put in 3 ad hoc committees. But if we have one that's going constantly, that might be easier for us to assimilate.
Unfortunately, with the new guidelines, that would be standing, and whoever would serve on that could not serve on any other committee. So that's what makes it a little bit challenging, at least in the setup that you're describing, because that goes a little bit more towards general or standing. And so again, kind of the new direction is that it is an ad hoc, again, very specific task. And the example I'll use is, at least in the communication and marketing, something like creating a flyer or doing a presentation. Once the presentation is done and you report out, that is a specific task, where what you're describing is a little bit more of in line with what would be considered a standing subcommittee. Yes.
We started arbitrarily to take the 8 domains mentioned and divvy things up in accord with them. I think that the idea that we work on what we need to work on, i.e. what is present at the time, makes extremely good sense. And I'm sorry, I didn't actually understand the restrictions on how many subcommittees we can be on, and if you're on one, does that exclude you from being on something else?
That is correct. So with the current body of 7, you could theoretically, so subcommittee could be no more, it has to be 1 less than a quorum. So the maximum you could have is 3. But in that sense, you one of the other guidelines is that you cannot serve on more than 1. So with that being said, and I think that's kind of where Chair Dixit was going, that and theoretically you could probably have a max of 7, because you could each individually be your own ad hoc subcommittee if you had a specific task. But if you're working with someone else, it limits the number of ad hoc subcommittees that you could have at one time, because you can only serve one at a time. So
That
if,
basically have 8 different tasks.
so theoretically, if you had 8 different tasks, the commission itself would need to prioritize and look at timing. And then to make sure that that was scheduled so that whoever was serving on the ad hoc subcommittee was not obviously serving on more than one, and hopefully then it completed before then maybe they went on to a new one.
So when the task is complete, you are now free agent.
Correct. Correct.
But at the same time, the domains don't remain. There are no subcommittees that remain.
That is correct. So you wouldn't, different than how the work plan was set up before, which were more standing committees around the domains. It should be more task oriented so that you can have a specific task that has a start and end. So then once it is complete, and the ad hoc subcommittee reports out, then as Commissioner Buckholz highlights, that ad hoc subcommittee dissipates, and then you are now open to join a new one.
Well, in fact, it means that we don't have any subcommittees anymore. All 7 of us are free to start doing the work that we think is most essential in whatever phase we're in. What do you think is the most essential right now?
That's the thing that we have to discuss. Somebody should float the idea and start discussing it.
How do you float the idea and discuss?
Well, I think there are 2 or 3 of these things that really stand out, in my way of thinking. One of them is the outdoor spaces and building issues around the Grand Park. That's pretty important. I think that, cafe is another one, the age friendly. So those are the 2 that I think are stand out pretty prominently.
So for cafe, is it just that we disseminate the survey to everyone? Is that the task that we are looking at, or any other?
As I understand it, that is the first to get the demographics from at least 500. And by the way, are we taking 55 or 65 as the starting point of the vote?
So we, the survey is open, and from the conversation that the commission has had, we've gone to, and again, what age friendly goes towards is allowing older adults to age in place. So we did open it up to 45 and above, but the survey itself, again, because I know this commission has talked about caregivers that may not necessarily be in that age range, but you want to capture feedback. So it is open to adults so that you can capture feedback from caregivers as well. So it is focusing on 45 and above, but allowing those that are 18 and older to capture caregivers.
So would there, but it still needs to be zip code Los Altos.
Correct.
Zip code Los Altos Hills.
Just city of Los Altos.
Just the city of Los Altos.
Correct.
Can you clarify that?
94024.
Correct. So the 2 zip codes would be 94022 and 94024.
I didn't see the zip code in that questionnaire specifically.
Correct. The one that you had, that was the general, which is why it took a little bit, because they do specify it to the city. And so that's what the AARP Research and Development team did add a section at the beginning so that someone could indicate what their zip code of residence is.
I have a question about the survey tool. I think it's normed on 65 and over. Can we check on that? Because we can't randomly lower the age for what the survey is geared towards and what it's been normed on.
No, so you can. That is, you can go as young as 45. And that is specific to AARP.
Oh, set 45 and above,
Correct.
that the tool's been used on that age group? Okay.
So that was an option, and then, something, again, as the commission, mentioned, the caregiver section. That was a question that I posed their research and development team, and that's what they recommended to best allow that opportunity to capture that information.
So then sounds like our first ad hoc committee work is to disseminate this survey, and is everyone on it?
So at the moment, we do currently have 3 ad hoc subcommittees. If we recall, we have Commissioner Nagao and Commissioner O'Reilly targeting the lunch program for the adult 50 plus. We have Chair Dixit, who is going to target the cultural exchange group. And then Commissioner Basiji, now that we have the actual link, of working with, I'm working on getting a date for you for Rotary. So we do have those 3 ad hoc subcommittees at the moment. From the last meeting, those commissioners said that they would be willing to present the information with the hopes of improving the number of people who answered the survey.
So you can cancel mine because I've already presented to the cultural exchange group in October at our meeting, and I went through the entire packet we got from WHO with them on a PowerPoint, and they are all waiting just for the link. So we can be one subcommittee less, or one ad hoc committee less. And free, and you know, somebody can start another one.
Wonderful. So that's a perfect example, as we just kind of highlighted, again, very specific, task oriented with the work plan ahead of us. Two items for consideration. One should be specific to what you want to accomplish in the year. So we want to make sure that the task is feasible from October through September of next year. And then the other side of it too is maybe finding specific goals. I know the previous one was kind of centered around the domain, but as you were just discussing, just wanted to put those 2 things forward as you continue your discussion.
I'd like to ask the commission if they would think that a task-related subcommittee to look at expanding the diversity of getting responses to the ARP survey. And we would investigate ways of targeting different groups. For example, those in retirement, senior housing, those that I would be doing to look at faith communities. But there are other broader categories of people whose input I think would be useful. So, but I guess I would wonder if should we call it recruitment of diverse seniors. Maybe
Or outreach.
Outreach. Better.
But are you,
I would be willing to serve on an outreach to diverse seniors. You want to subcommit?
Yeah.
you have 2 already?
Are we trying to match the ethnicity, the breakdown of the ethnicity of Los Altos, the city of Los Altos? We know that information, so when they say we want 300 or up to 500 people, that would be great. We would like it to pretty much match the diverse groups that are in Los Altos right now. And was that published just in the book, in the Chamber's new book that they put out? All the demographics were in there, but it's from the 2002 census. And I don't think it's that different now, I don't know.
The only thing is that there isn't necessarily any personal identifying information through the survey, so I don't know if there would be a way to match. Again, because you're filling out the information, but it's not necessarily, as Commissioner Buckles highlighted, personally identifying information.
But there is a page of demographic that the individual person that's filling out the survey does fill out, that's part of the survey. It's either the first sheet or the last sheet. I remember seeing it, I don't have it here with me tonight. But, I'm just building on what Bill's saying, that we want to try to get a diverse group that's, you know, that's going to give us information, it might give us information, helpful information on what kind of services people want. I don't know, but it might. Do you have a copy of the tool with you tonight?
Gentleman with his hand raised.
I'm trying to get the chair's attention, that's all.
I can't see very well.
I can't see very well. Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry, George.
I just wanted to say, I know for Los Altos Hills, we had to do a very complete demographic analysis in our housing element, which, by the way, got passed quite some time ago. And I heard that Los Altos got one passed, so you must have the same sort of packet of information, the comparison available that's current.
Yeah, so, well, I'm sorry, I'm new to this. So the information seems to be available and, well, we might be able to use it.
So that's a question that I could pose to the research and development team. Part of AARP is that what we can check in on, obviously the number of respondents that we've gotten. And again, CAFE, which is Center for Age-Friendly Excellence, that's the consultant that we're going to be working with on our age-friendly recertification process. Basically, we would get a report out of obviously where the questions and obviously what types of answers we're receiving. So that is something I could check in to see what would be the easiest process to cross-reference that.
But
I'm sorry, I know it's hard for you.
I'm sorry, I had one cataracts.
Yeah, I know.
Kind of blind.
Yeah. The one thing I wanted to try to help you understand is when you talk about outreach, it's a task for all commission members to do. You can direct the commission that we're all going to do this. You don't have to form a subcommittee, because then it would limit you in participating. But as far as any programs the senior commission takes on and you do outreach, that's something you all should be working on and doing. And you can just
In my experience.
discuss it and say, I'm gonna do the senior center, like you said, I'm gonna do the faith-based organization. And you can, when you decide, you're gonna decide that I'm gonna take that on. Someone can say, I'm gonna do the senior facilities within Los Altos, they can take that on. But, you know, to get clarity, so you don't, double duty, you know, but it's always good to duplicate efforts too sometimes, because then people hear it again. But not usually.
You have to organize the work.
Right, but that's why you discuss it. You can,
Who's gonna
Right. but then you agendize that, how are we gonna do outreach? So even if you're talking about, this item, you talk about, we're gonna discuss work, how to outreach, and then you discuss that. But you don't have to have it so specific that it keeps it so narrow to limit your discussion as well. So you keep it broader and you can, discuss all aspects around it.
I think in essence, what you're describing would be a subcommittee comprising the whole committee.
It's not called a subcommittee, it's something that we all are working towards, right? Right.
To get a task completed, that's what it is, isn't it?
it takes an identified person to be accountable.
We're all accountable for this program, so.
But not everybody is gonna do the work. And so even if we all should,
That's not what
no, but I'm doing the work of making sure that people are responsive, commission are responsive, so that there needs to be an identified, you're responsible person. And I'm willing to be so identified. I don't know if Christie's willing to have a target painted on your face.
I don't mind, but I'm just trying to get a understanding here because I'm yet to catch up, but does all this discussion have to happen within this hour and a half? Because okay. And outside of this, we can
can.
talk
Yeah.
unless it's less than half of.
That is a perfect, I think, question or transition into that part. And the benefit of an ad hoc subcommittee is that it allows work and conversation to happen between those individuals that may be on that ad hoc subcommittee, not in this public forum, and then you can continue that maybe smaller work to go towards. So that is one of the benefits of an ad hoc, and again, that's why it has to be less than a quorum, because if it is a quorum or more, it should be in a publicly noticed meeting. So you can have a larger conversation here during the senior commission, but that is one of the benefits of the ad hoc, so that the work, specific tasks, as the example that we just kind of talked about, that Commissioner Buckholz and Commissioner Olson wanted to maybe focus on outreach to a large or diverse group of seniors, then you and Commissioner Buckholz could have that conversation and work on that particular element. Specifically outside of this forum.
So I have a question. It used to be that once we had a group of people meet, we were part of domains. If we had a domains group meeting, we had something that was written up and communicated to the rest of the team. Even if it was midweek or end of the month before our meeting, everyone knew how things were progressing. And that action committee or subcommittee was the umbrella that kept that together. I know because I was on it, and so we could help ask everyone, where's your report, what's happened? And so we knew without that being available to us, we will not be able to coordinate who's completed what. For example, we had 3 ad hoc subcommittees. I finished my task. I was not able to tell anybody until today. That doesn't seem to be a very great idea for organizing. If there was a way, let's figure out how should we send, does everybody get a task that whoever takes up whatever writes it down and sends it to you? Is that the way?
Yes, so rather than, so basically staff, myself, and any of the support staff, Candace, would be that hub, so to speak, so that we can help disseminate information. But part of the requirement for the ad hoc subcommittee, as you just highlighted, Chair Dixit, is that it does require a final report out to the full commission before the ad hoc subcommittee ends. So that full report out could not happen in between meetings, because the public's not a part of that conversation email-wise. So again, it would need to be during a public forum like this, where the report out by the ad hoc subcommittee happens. And then that, and so we wouldn't be able to, since you did complete that, we could update the commission, but again, it requires that report out at one of the full commission meetings.
So we can only communicate with the entire commission once a month.
Correct.
Just toss this out there. So today was the first day of the 3 months, is that right? So we have 3 months starting today to get all this information back. And could we have a discussion of different opportunities of places where we can go, such as those people that are in homes that aren't coming out? Can we go to maybe what's the delivery service that brings them weekly or
Right here,
Outreach. Outreach.
what is that? Meals on Wheels, maybe something like that as an opportunity to reach some of these people that might not have access to. So we have a small subgroup that does the outreach that way. We've got those that, another couple of us work on the religious and the charitable organizations, and then you've got another group, so that way all of us are. That was a mosquito. Okay, but I'm sitting there trying to think of how we can quickly,
Three tasks at one time.
how we can quickly go out and reach all the different potential spots that we like Grand Park and different places and give them time to be able, and the senior centers.
So,
And so to have that part of the discussion now, so that way we can go tomorrow and start outreaching, because we only have 3 months and then we're done.
Sorry, I have my hands up. So actually, what this discussion should have been was when you discussed about that survey marketing plan with agenda item 3. And that's where you really talk about, so how do we get it? Because it's already on the agenda for you to discuss it, right? The survey. So that's where you talk about, well, in order for outreach, I'll take on this, I'll take on that, and that way everyone has got their hands in it and can be working on it. And instead of just saying, let's make our subcommittee, then you're limiting what other tasks you can take on because you've already designated yourself on a subcommittee. So that's why you talk it all out at these meetings, and then you. That's right.
And so we're not on a subcommittee, we're just completing.
Correct. And you're completing the goal of helping to make this plan happen.
so it looks like we have religious outreach, we have Meals on Wheels outreach, agricultural.
I don't think we have to.
But you don't have to limit yourself. Do you
You don't
understand?
want to double up, but it's where.
So, well, everyone can mention what they're gonna do here.
Right.
So we can do that, and next month, well, we're not meeting next month, but yes.
So one of my suggestions, because the topic that we're currently on is on the work plan. And I think that is, and this is just me kind of hearing the conversation, that maybe one of the goals, and it is specific to timing here, that it is specific to the AARP outreach. Then you can specify the task that you want to have either a commissioner responsible for, as Commissioner Buckholz put it, so that there is clarity on who is doing which piece. So we could start a work plan can be a living document. It's usually one of the items that we continue to discuss at all of our meetings. So maybe it is that we focus on this first goal of the outreach, since it's what is before us, and specifically on the outreach for the AARP survey. As Commissioner Basigi highlighted, there are a few other ones that maybe you could put on the work plan as a goal, and then once we get past, this outreach portion, we can talk about what tasks can be associated with those others, depending on what is the desire of the commission. Just some suggestions from what I am hearing the commission discuss.
Very good. Do any of the commissioners want to say, this is where I'm gonna outreach, and so we can move ahead to the next? portion.
I think a great idea is to discuss, if I might, all the different areas. I would love to understand from the city point of view. I mean, we know the organizations here, but it's those that, don't have a voice, if you want to say, and where do they live? And I don't have a knowledge of that right now. You know, you had mentioned you through the hills, you were able to get the demographic, you were able to get, that includes age groups of where they live. So is there a way to find out for Los Altos? So I know certain parts of Los Altos, but in certain other directions, I don't have a clue. And so that would be, I don't know if we have all of Los Altos
Here's
covered.
probably a question for Eric. Finding a database that more is reflective of all the seniors and or beyond certain age that live in the community, and moreover, those that need help, and they end up being somewhat insular or unreachable, or whatever you want to call it. I think the issue that is City Council Tyson raised more or less points to at least a database to start with. And then you have to more or less vet through that to get to the group, that subgroup that you're really aiming to get to. And I'm sure the same thing is true for Los Altos. The question is, how do you get there? And we have tried in the past, and it hasn't been that successful. So I think the bill, if I'm not mistaken, started off with a faith-based community as a way of getting to these people. I think we need to identify parallel groups that gives us more or less the same insight in with respect to other than that, I'm not sure how you actually find.
I have a list of ways we could find pickleball organizations. No brainer,
That's good, that's fantastic, yeah.
Community residents, i.e. they live in.
We talked about that last time, for example, people that live in the terraces or something like that. Or Bridgepoint, exactly, yeah.
So, there are lists of
Yeah, go ahead, go
Los
to.
Altos, senior communities.
Could you share that list one more time with all of us? Maybe send it to Jamie. so we can- We had it at some point, but I don't have it anymore. If we can send it to Jamie, maybe everybody can pick up.
I would be delighted to.
Thank you, Sue.
Okay.
Well, that'd be good. Can I ask a question? I know Annabelle Pellin, she's with an organization, what
Cafe.
organization?
Yeah.
Oh, she's with
She's
Cafe.
with Cafe. She's the one who's
Okay.
helping us with this.
And she will be
She
engaged
has a-
with the focus groups. I guess we are with the art survey, getting baseline demographics. And the intentions of residents. Those are the main questions in that survey. So, again, I would have a list that I thought about. So, for example, going to Hope's Corner.
Yeah.
If you want to get the homeless.
But then, okay, yeah, I agree.
And then, the housing element leaders would be ones who would know where seniors are. Rotary Lions and Kiwanis and so forth. Next door is a social communication system where that you can send out an invitation on that. So there are all of these outreach possibilities, and to limit them to just a name rather than the overview of the outreach. So it's a 360-degree spherical outreach. And that was my intention of this subcommittee.
Great, yeah, absolutely. I think that's in essence why we need a subcommittee to just really bear down in this issue as opposed to 1.5 hours in second week of the month.
The subcommittee is going to have time on the phone and time on email and so forth.
And also we need to have a staff membership, be able to
Yes.
get that done.
As long as it does not require walking long distances.
Can you call on this?
Yes, please, Jane?
Okay, on the handouts that you got for tonight's meeting, item number 3 identifies, what the staff are going to be doing. It's on page 11, if you can scroll to that, if you're on your computers. So, I'm sure simultaneously, or in the first 2 or 3 weeks, if you get to that, it's gonna be posted on the city's website. The city manager has an email newsletter it's gonna get put on. Are you with me here, or let me wait a minute or two? And then Parks and Rec email newsletter, social media accounts. These are things that the public information officer and their team are gonna be doing. And we're gonna rely on these heavily, because these are the broad sweep. What we're talking about now, what Bill's identifying, and we do have a 1.5-page document about, with bullet points on all those individual places that we want to attend to, or categories of places like residential care facilities, things like that. So anyway, don't forget that we're not responsible for, the wide dissemination of information. We're responsible for assisting with in individual tunnels that are missing from this, we think might be missing. I don't know how else to
Correct, I
explain
agree,
it.
I agree with what you're saying.
Chris is.
Question, just, here we're doing an outreach and then the survey. So is it within the survey that, like, we are relying on the people filling it out, to be honest? Are they, okay, so there's no verifying that you are Mountain View in filling it out?
Zip
Even
code.
it's the zip code, but, okay, so it's by your address and they are not checking the address to the name, they're not doing,
It's a self just completed survey.
okay,
Yeah.
so it's not verified.
Not necessarily,
It's
because
on the honor system is what it is.
correct. And so it is, the main form is, and anything that is submitted, has to be logged online. So, previous iterations, it was an actual mailed survey, hard copy. We're more virtual at this point, so, everything is tallied online. So it is based on the honor system, because someone could answer it. Yeah.
Jane, the spotlight just came out. Is there an ad in the spotlight about this? I don't see it on the list specifically, so that would have been an ideal thing to get this whole ball started, because it just came out. So I didn't look at it yet. I just got it today.
We didn't
So-
have the link,
I'm sorry?
they didn't have the link that early, and then
Right,
the
but
information of the spotlight goes in weeks ahead in advance.
I think it could have still been introduced, it could have been introduced without that link that time, because we missed this big opportunity to give it widespread, because
Like a
that's,
heads up.
you know what I mean? So,
Yeah, keep your eye on.
because we've been waiting for the link for months. I mean, it's been a long time.
But last month when we met, we did talk about the fact that they're going to put flyers and maybe some other ways to let
Yeah.
anybody know.
There's a lot of ways, but just saying,
Yeah, that needs to happen. Okay, can we move on so that it looks like there is an active 3-month working plan that we are all going to do this outreach? And so that should be part of our 2024 work plan.
Remember, you're not meeting next month.
So can I make a recommendation that we each sign up for a particular something?
That's what, I've been saying.
Yeah, without
Yeah.
sign up,
What's that?
You don't
without
sign up.
signing up for something, I'm not sure what's gonna happen between now and next meeting.
when Jamie gets the information from Bill, you could send that to all of us, and then we could put first, second, third choice back to you, and I don't know how else to do it, really. Because we can't really do it tonight. We can't get everyone signed up.
But I can volunteer to go like to Meals on Wheels and how we go to the people that are not
We just want to
online.
organize it so that, we cover all of the things that we want.
And so if I sign up for that, it sounds like we've got religious,
Yeah.
we have Nextdoor and other online newspapers that can be
Yeah, the city's
somebody.
the city's gonna do the social media.
That's not what they said.
But
They
they
have
call it-
Facebook, Instagram, and Nextdoor for the city, but not for the
Oh, I thought you
questionnaire.
said next door that we would do it.
I think somebody on the committee can be able to. Is this correct?
Yeah,
No.
so we would do, one of the city would do general posts, but the one thing I will say about Nextdoor is that sometimes with the widespread or general, sometimes more pointed because each of you as commissioners have your own networks. And sometimes it's a little bit, it's more real when you hear from your neighbor that, okay, this might be something that would be helpful to get your feedback versus just a general, please help fill out this survey. Hearing from you as commissioners individually might be a more pointed outreach and more beneficial outreach because then you can have a conversation of why it's important to provide that feedback. So as Vice Chair Cohen put, the city will do kind of that mass outreach, but it's those individual or pointed outreach that each of the commissioners can assist with that would obviously be helpful to expand that outreach. Yes.
So you have a commissioner that has offered to provide going to Meals on Wheels, which is great, because you want to get information out early. Earlier you get it out, and the repetition that goes on is very helpful.
And it should come parallel with what the city is doing and we are doing, so there's double the information going out. So we have, like we've talked about which groups Bill is going to, which group,
Right.
Commissioner, I'm sorry, Olson is going to, I will be going to the cultural exchange program and trying to get whoever I can grab.
I can go to residential care, Bridgepoint, Terraces, I think those are the two main, but I want a handout to give out to them. Flyers, I need some written materials too.
That's what the
We
PDF,
need all of that.
no, the PDFs that have come in today.
No, you can ask staff. When you need materials,
Yeah.
ask staff and staff will provide them.
Yes.
Right.
So the pieces that will be designed for the social media, some of those will be very pointed and we can utilize those to hand out. And that is something that, as Councilmember Lee pointed out, you could outreach to myself or Candace and we could work to get those to you.
So I have not followed the city of Los Altos, so that would be like one of my next steps. I don't know if you have a Facebook account, if you're following the city of Los Altos, so when they post, then you can say following or thumbs up, and so it then goes out to your friends.
Absolutely.
And the seniors who we contact through our own networks can then reach seniors from their networks. And so it's a little bit like a pyramid scheme, but it is legal and ethical, particularly if you get in at the beginning.
Commissioners O'Reilly and Basilio, would you be able to say where you're going to outreach for this next month or?
Well, with the Commissioner Nagal, we were doing a lunch, senior lunches. I've got signed up for presenting to the Rotary.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Is anybody able to write this down? Because I can't write.
Yes, so this will all be noted.
So should we make a motion that this has passed or this? We don't need it.
It's one place that's.
Wonderful. We can move on to the next item on the agenda then.
I still think we have places to, I'm thinking of CSA, we have Post Corner, we've got Second Harvest. Los Altos, Mountain View, Community Foundation, you've got Rotary, you've got Chamber of Commerce, anybody hitting those?
Nobody's going to Rotary.
Well, I mean, I'm a member, so if that's,
Would you like to do it instead of me?
no, I have enough there, so.
I'm just waiting for time slot that I can actually go.
Yeah.
If you're helping, you get the time slot.
Absolutely. And then bring a computer and it can be filled out there. So that's a great idea when you come to the
Well,
meeting.
that's not, I'm not sure exactly what, is that what's intended or just simply a presentation that you got here? and-
Yeah, it was the intent to be just a presentation, and it wasn't, when I had initially reached out to Rotary, they had two topics. It wasn't going to fall into a main presentation, which is like 20 to 30 minutes.
Yeah.
It was gonna be the shorter one, which was no more than 10 minutes. Correct.
Yeah, I'm more intending to move on. So the next item is the work plan, and I want to say that what we talked about just now is a 3-month work plan. And we're not meeting in December.
I'm still not sure if you have reached the point of putting it all together.
How is it?
I'm unclear what's gonna happen between now and next meeting, shall we say.
Which is in January 8th.
Yeah, so I think if you have decided that collectively we are going to undertake to do this outreach, how do we measure the progress? How do we report it to the commission and so forth? So do we say a couple more words about that, or should we are we just at this point on table it until next
No,
year?
no, it's important, please do say.
So my suggestion, because we have, there is no meeting in December. Now, it would need to be a strong reason. So CAFE recommends that this AARP survey be open for 12 weeks. Roughly at the end of, I would say, December, most likely I will outreach to the research and development team to see how many respondents we have, so that we will know for our January meeting where our numbers are falling. Now, AARP and their research and development team have already said that if we've overreached, let's say in an ideal situation, we have the 500 by January, which is wonderful. Or we may find out we only have 150, which they recommend that the minimum is 300 respondents. At that time, in January for our meeting, we could then discuss more pointed outreach to try and increase those numbers. So that's something that I will do as staff to see where we are in the number of respondents in time for our January meeting, which would still give us the remainder of January to continue the outreach.
So I guess at this point in time, we are assuming that we have enough points of outreach identified and ownership for those outreach identified, so we are comfortable just more or less stopping at this point until we take another read after what you described.
Right, and the other thing is that if for your presentation you want any materials, we need to ask for them.
Yeah, I think I'll work with her on that. Thank you.
Everyone settled on this?
So I have Rotary, I was gonna do Meals on Wheels and religion. I don't have.
The cultural exchange program, where I have a large number of fellows of Indian descent meeting. And I try to translate and help them to fill out the form.
Okay, and then we've got a couple more.
Could I get you communicating specifically with the Chinese community?
Sure. go ahead. Jeremy, we would all need the bullet points to speak at whichever presentation. And if there's a short PowerPoint or something like that, which we can show, then as soon as possible.
Yeah, the two that have been created drafts so far, were included in the packet. The PowerPoint is roughly, I think, I did a separate one for the QR code and a separate one for just the URL link. So it's roughly, I think, 8 slides. So very pointed into very specific, very brief. And then the handout is basically just a single page, because the PowerPoint, the city's template has a dark background, which would make mass printing a little bit more challenging. So, which is why it was created on just a basic handout, so that it has the same information, but in an easier, more manageable printing form. Once we get some of those social media posts, which would be, I will describe it as more graphically appealing, that's maybe something that we could possibly pass out in maybe a post-quarter flyer standard. I'll make sure to get that out to all of the commissioners as well, too.
Did you have a hand up?
No, the sun has
That's right.
So then we've really finished, number 4 as well, because it's a living document which we can append or amend in January.
We will,
No, further down.
I'll make sure that we capture at least this first goal,
Both of those.
which is the outreach, and then highlight what each of the sections are.
The one last question that I had, usually when we administer surveys or when we even talk about them, we're given some training so that the message that is to be asked is uniform. So if you have any, a paragraph that we can speak, I know I will have to translate some of it, that's besides the point. But if there's any spoken material that we need to use, it should also be uniform, so that we're not interpreting it in our own way.
Yes, and so that will be based upon the bullets that have already been highlighted, but you are correct, that would be part of that similar messaging, which has already been highlighted in the presentation and the handout.
All right, if everybody agrees, we can move on to item number 5. Yes, please.
Okay, so for item 5, the flyers, what I will specifically highlight first, and I will allow Chris to do his, but first is Family Fun Days for the city of Los Altos. The October 28th Halloween hoopla went extremely well here at the community center. We had over 500 community members with their families come out and participate. So it was a lot of fun. I was here and brought my own kids. We had a lot of kids in costume, so it was a fun event. Our next one is scheduled for Saturday, December 16th. Theme is Winter Wonderland. It is always 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. and all free. So please encourage any families that you may know. It's a fun time with lots of activities and crafts for kids. All ages. So we have many families with kids in strollers. There's usually some sort of movie playing with activities and crafts here, crafts in Manzanita. We always partner with the library and they have an activity in the Grand Oak. Stuff outside, although we'll see how the weather holds up, but we usually have large games and stuff in the courtyard. So lots of fun things and movement here in all of the spaces. Then we are hiring here for a variety of different positions, both full-time and part-time. So if you know of anyone that may be interested, please forward the flyer. Would be appreciative to get any applications for those that may be interested. And then I'll turn it over to Chris for some of the specifics for adult 50 plus, flyer-wise.
Yeah, the flyer I submitted relates to this Wednesday, November 8th. We're hosting a Medicare presentation about changes to 2024 Medicare changes that could impact you. It's free, objective, unbiased information through an agency called SourceWise, who also provides ongoing personalized appointments that you can look through the senior program. So you'll find that in your packet. That is this Wednesday at noon at Grant Park.
And then I think that's it for at least Los Altos until we get to staff updates. But specifically for Los Altos Hills, they have their New Year's walk, which is New Year's Day. It'll be 1 p.m. at Prisma Park, baseball field. And there's additional information QR code that you can follow. They also highlighted their barn lighting event, which is scheduled for Sunday, December 3rd, between 2 and 5 p.m. at West Wind Community Barn. And those are the specific flyers. Any questions? And those all were included in your packet.
The next one is the age-friendly updates from the city staff.
No, absolutely. So we've discussed it quite a bit, but I'm just excited that we finally have the link. As Vice Chair Cohen highlighted, it took a lot of persistence to get that from AARP, but I'm just excited that we have it and are able to move forward with our process. And so just as a reminder, we, as Cafe highlighted, we should have it open for roughly 12 weeks. As we just discussed, we will find out where we are now that the survey link is live. Recommended for our population that we get a minimum of 300 respondents, but it would be ideal if we get 500. So that is my main update for age-friendly.
Are they gonna cap it at 5? Or
No, we can get more. And so that's our ideal. Minimum is 3. And again, it's usually based upon the community population. But they said minimum 3, ideal would be 5. If we get more, that would be even better.
Staff for reports.
All right, so Chris, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I will just mention, the Spotlight was released late last week, and per usual, it's full of a catalog of upcoming November, December activities and events to participate in. One of them in particular is next Wednesday, Diwali celebration. Tuesday, November 14th, Diwali celebration, and we booked the Grand Oak Ballroom. Our adult 50+ staff will sort of be serving in a variety of event support capacity, really just supporting the success of our provider and our lead host volunteer, Shivari, who's the lead executor planner.
Thank you, but I really wish that we would get more ethnicities to join. It's a cultural exchange. So far, it's an Indian exchange. I really want more, much more. One of the goals was that everyone practice their English, everyone teach each other different cultures, enjoy each other's company.
Is there food involved?
Yes, always,
Oh, wow.
always.
And the food's good.
Oh, I know that for sure.
Please, I'm sorry I interrupted.
Yeah, there'll be some light bites. We'll also be doing some refreshments, beverages primarily. But yeah, it's part of, as Shivari said, it's part of the larger adult 50+ cultural exchange program. The more diverse, the more vibrant, the more alive the exchange will be. Again, just taking a moment to read through the Spotlight. There's things in there that we're hoping to capture your interest to participate in. There is one thing we dedicated a lot of real estate on the Spotlight towards, which is joining our email list. If you're not hearing from us via email, you can just call the senior center and say, I want to join the email list. And I promise we won't bombard you with a lot of emails, but we'll just send you things that you might find of interest, upcoming activities, trips, community events, etc. So I'd encourage you to consider joining the adult 50+ mailing list. I think that would wrap it up for my report.
Okay. For the one I wanted to highlight for Los Altos is we're hard at work bringing back our printed activity guide. So that was one of the first things that was placed on hiatus, during the, kind of the shutdown during the pandemic. So it has been, the last one we produced was spring of 2020. So it has been just about 3 years. And so it's going to be, released at the end of this month. So we should have it in hand for distribution on Monday, November 28th. So, my team has been hard at work on producing the activity guide. So very excited that it will be returned. And we'll highlight, all of the classes and events that will happen in the January to March timeframe of 2024. So, we'll be very excited, that will be returning. And then, just getting ready for the holiday season. The tree that we use to decorate the community center will be going up towards the end of this month, obviously in time for our Winter Wonderland Family Fun Day that we have in December. But lots of activity here at the center as well. So that is it for my report.
Very nice. Very nice. And we go to the last section, which is the future agenda items. We've done extensive review, but do we want to talk about the 8 domains anymore, or leave it for the next time? Everyone?
The domains are retired.
Retired.
That's a good checklist.
Yeah.
For lack of a better word, you can always refer to it as a source for a new initiatives that we can undertake.
So we don't really need it to be on the future agenda, right? It can be removed. Jimmy, we're going to talk about the outdoor spaces. Is that something?
I think Commissioner Nagao wanted me to float this idea, but she's here herself, so you might want to talk to it, Chris.
Hi, so can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
Great. So I would like to agendize a discussion on the Grant Park Community Center amenities to be proposed and recommended to city staff for consideration during the fiscal year 2024-25 budget process. So in preparation for that, I would like to invite everyone to go visit Grant Park at some time between now and January, and then talk to the staff, look around. The Grant Park facility is open for us on Mondays from 9:30 till 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And on Wednesdays, we have many more activities on Wednesdays from 9:30 to 2 o'clock. So please, come on down, check out the facility. If you see something that you think would enhance it, help it, we'd appreciate your suggestions. Now we're going to need, I think, a few people to agree that this would be an item to put on the agenda. So if I can put that out to the floor.
Yeah, definitely.
You have a lot of support, Commissioner Nagao, so we can definitely add that as a future agenda.
All right.
I wanted to raise, thank you, Commissioner Nagao, thank you. I wanted to raise an item if everyone can think about it. Last year at some point, we had talked about different transport for the seniors. And I remember that I was interested in, so I had done a little bit of research. I don't know if I actually pursued it except sending it off to Jamie. I had collected information about not just the VTA and outreach, but also the Google shuttles that go on El Camino between Palo Alto and Sunnyvale. They are just mainly for their employees, but I've heard that seniors are allowed to use them as well. So my thought was to have, I need to find out. So my thought was that if all the commissioners would allow, I'd like to figure out how these work. And the objective that I have is to find out if we can have some sort of shuttle or mode of transport between Los Altos Hills and Los Altos. I don't know what frequency, I just want to find out the basics. And if that is possible, then we can encourage people who cannot use cars to come to what facilities we've created here, the library, Woodland and the regular library, history museum, the grocers, all the events that we have, wine and art festival, all the things that we are doing here. So if we can have this, maybe we can have a map design. We can't go to everybody's home. That's what they use outreach for. But if a shuttle can be used to make a map and cover some areas and.
I'll work with you. Yeah. There's some, we've done some work.
I think what they're suggesting is you'd like to have a discussion on transportation modalities for seniors. And you don't want to limit it yourself to just shuttles, but you want to talk about all the various senior transportation options for seniors.
Thank you for putting it.
There's been a lot of work done
Yes.
by him and somewhat by me, mostly by him.
Exactly.
Part of this could be a good trigger to discuss the whole thing, not just simply between those points, but perhaps more than that.
Yes, it's one of our domains, so, very good, so we can put that on our future agenda, and we can.
Sounds like there is ample support
Yeah.
by the commission. We have at least 3 commissioners, right?
Right.
Okay.
And then there are housing, social participation, respect, civic participation. Anybody want to have any? So we can retire those.
Actually, I have a report on social participation. And it's mainly the kinds of things that would be issues to look at in terms of what are the kinds of things that either enhance or prevent social participation. A lot of it is transportation. A lot of it is also the communication. So the ways of reaching people who are not online all the time. That is important because that's how we learn what is going on. And so I think that is going to be one of the things that probably will be identified as needing from the focus group to be examined.
So should we keep that on our future?
I would keep that. And as far as the health issues, I don't have anything new. Do you have anything?
Anybody?
Well, just another item is I think we ought to have some means of feedback on the activities that will take place, members of this committee, between now and the next time we convene, because we'll be meeting with some of these groups.
Right. Yeah. So we should formulate a plan to give our reports ahead of time so that they can be sent to Jamie or.
Yeah, so timing wise response to Commissioner O'Reilly, our next scheduled meeting will be January 8th. And so given kind of the holiday timeframe, I will email the commission as a whole. The marketing piece, it sounds like we should keep that as an item for the January meeting to allow the commission to report out on the various outreach modes that you discussed. And then with that, I will email the kind of the due date, should any need to be included in the packet, when that would need to come to staff.
Is there any possibility of disseminating the information we would send to you about the success of our efforts?
To the,
To the commission? Yeah, for their eyes only, our eyes only.
let me follow up on how, what would the best way to disseminate the information. And I will get back to the commission on that.
But because of the ground that I think has to come from here. It would be this repository and this.
So we have to add that?
Amongst ourselves.
Yeah.
Correct. The only, yeah, the only question I would have, and that I would just need to get clarification as far as when the information needs to be public versus just to the commission. That's the only clarification that I would need to follow up on.
So would it be something where, as a group, we would report to you in 1 month, so that way we have an update and we then can look at it on our own and see what holes might be there. And by that time, you might go, we have 200 responses, and I've received reports from, and they've been reached out by, so that way we know what happened. Then we do that and we.
There could probably be a status update. I'll double check. Minimally, that was going to happen by our regularly scheduled special meeting for January.
2
Time.
months,
Yeah, that's why it's something in
however, in 30 days.
Potentially, yes, I would just need to double check, because again, the January one was in prep for the meeting. Let me just confirm, kind of information to the group and what needs to be meeting or public.
And just one final thing, Commissioner Cohen reminded me that work plan needs to be on the future agenda.
Correct.
So I think we're done. So it needs to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for helping me.
Yeah.
Thank you.